So first panel conversation is solution storytelling and how social enterprises and NGOs can invest in storytelling to drive fundraising and impact. And our moderator, we're privileged to have her, is a Kenyan filmmaker and the Africa Programs Manager at the Video Consortium, committed to elevating African voices through non-fiction storytelling and impact-driven collaboration. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Debra Aroko as she moderates her first session.
Thank you so much for that.
Hi, everyone. My name is Debra Aroko, and I am a Kenyan filmmaker and the Africa Programs Manager for the Video Consortium. Through the Video Consortium, we were able to execute a program called the Solution Storytelling Project that was funded by the Skoll Foundation and executed in partnership with DocuBox, who are the reason we're here today. So thank you to DocuBox. I am really excited to moderate this panel, partly because we're going to have some amazing panelists here, but also because it's a sort of reunion, because I've had the pleasure of working with each and every one of these panelists to not only showcase the work that is being done by the change makers and the innovators on our continent, but also showcase the creativity and the beauty that our creatives or our storytellers possess to be able to tell the stories of the African people and shift narratives on how we are seen across the globe. I am going to introduce our very first panelist and read out their bios as they come on stage. So the very first person we're going to have on stage is Eric Mwangi, who is a Kenyan filmmaker, cinematographer, and the founder of his own production company, which I do remember the name of, Ripple Productions Limited. And he has experience working in documentaries, commercials, and short films in East and Southern Africa. He directed Funding Africa and the Island of Hope under Solution Storytelling Project. And I would encourage you to find and talk to him about the films that he worked on SSP, because his was the most exciting and unexpected journey. But thank you. Welcome, Eric.
Thank you so much.
Moving swiftly, our next panelist is Samuel Wanjohi. He is a Kenyan journalist and documentary filmmaker and the founder of LifeSpark Studios. I love that all the filmmakers are founders. His work has been featured on Bloomberg and Scientific American. He directed Bahari Bingwa for the Solution Storytelling Project in collaboration with Bahari High through SSP Africa, the fellowship, and the film was focusing on marine conservation efforts. Thank you. And now we're moving on to our wonderful NGO representatives. The first one is Peter Kitelo. He is the strategic director for the Chepkitale Indigenous People Development Project, a land rights activist and a convener of Kenya's Forest Indigenous Peoples Network, working at the intersection of conservation, indigenous rights, and legal reform. Thank you, Peter. For SSP, we were working with him through the tenure facility. He worked with Jackie Lebo to create their film focusing on land rights for indigenous people. And last but not least, we have Ruth O. Chitwa. She is the communications strategist and current head of communications at Living Goods Kenya, with over a decade of experience leading storytelling, advocacy, and stakeholder engagement across Kenya's public and private sectors. We worked with her for the SSP Social Storytelling Project on a film. She worked with Kenyan filmmaker Liza Mali to tell the story of what Living Goods is doing in Western Kenya. Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you.
And I believe that Ruth has a video for us to see and learn more about Living Goods.
Nyinga Monica Otieno Kono, Samia ni higni ya chake 207, kano tera ijinya mrerwano, naneno kamoro gi tijno. Nikech en tich mar chiwruok kikonyo ogandani.
A community health worker is what I call the community doctor. He or she is the person who's been selected by the community and is supported to provide medical services that are needed door to door. If you look at many of our setup where we are, the doctor-patient ratios are far too low. There are also other complexities within the ecosystem, like number of hospitals, distance to facility, and all those sort of things. So for many people, and most of the underserved, the person who can give access at the right time is a community health worker.
Ka donji households, kantiere pregnant mother, abro puonje ewi weche mag clinic. Onego bed nochako AC visits immediately ka osewinjo ni nyathi otimore nade ni e iye. Seche ma asendikone barua modhi e osiptal, abro timonega follow-ups, abro puonje weche mag nutrition, kendo abro puonje ewi weche mag malaria, weche mag ler.
Living Goods Envision is a world where every community member is able to access quality care at the right time, at the right frequency, whenever they need it. Living Goods has been able to co-develop a community health application. There are many community health workers in Kenya. There are probably about 100,000. What the app helps them to do is simple. It's an interactive app.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you. So a little bit about the Solution Storytelling Project. It was a project that brought together 19 filmmakers and 19 change maker organizations from all across Africa with the object of showing the innovations and solutions that are being generated within the continent for the continent that are having an impact on the local and global space. But it was also with the intention of connecting local filmmakers to NGOs to allow the filmmakers to use their creative prowess and gifts to tell the stories in a way that is authentic and engaging, but also provides or allows them to provide for themselves and create sustainable careers from their storytelling. And so with that in mind, we'll start there. So what drew you to participate in the SSP program, and what surprised you about the collaboration between the storytellers and NGO? And I'm going to start with Ruth and Sam next.
Okay, thank you, Debra, and thank you very much for having us here. You have seen what Living Goods does, and maybe just to bring it closer home is the fact that in 2016, we were one of the Skoll awardees for our social enterprise activities in Uganda, Kenya, and Burkina Faso. And then most recently, in 2025, under the Coalition of Health Impact Coalition, Community Health Impact Coalition, we were able to also get an award for social innovation. So working together with Skoll, and when this opportunity came up, we realized that this is a reputable organization. Storytelling is a form through which the organization could be able to share the work that we do in an authentic, honest, clear, very simple manner. And so we jumped right onto it so that we can get the opportunity to talk to more people, larger than the different countries where we operate in and the stakeholders that we have. What surprised me was the fact that, one, you took time to pair NGOs with the different filmmakers, I think based on their previous work, based on the regions that they were coming from, and of course, looking at the work that organizations were doing. And so that process of matchmaking, if I might call it, was different. And when the filmmakers came on board, there was also that connection in trying to understand what an organization does and piecing the story together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sam, what drew you to the program and what surprised you about it?
Thank you very much, Debra and DocuBox for having me. Yeah, I applied and I got selected. But basically, I've through DocuBox programs, one program that was called Films for Good, I think back in 2020, I can't remember the year. It was about we were brought together and taught how to see filmmaking as not just a tool for entertaining, but also a tool for doing good. So from there, I got passionate and more passionate about solutions and like using the medium of film to tell stories that are impactful, not just stories of there's something Madam Judy said that I've never forgotten, that films that have something to say. So that is something that really stuck with me. And yeah, when I came across Solution Storytelling Program, SSP, yeah, I applied and was selected and was paired with an organization called Bahari High, which is an organization based in Watamu, coastal Kenya, that works around marine ecosystem conservation. Yeah, and we were able to make a film called Bahari Bingwal, or in English, The Turtle Protector. You can watch it maybe on one of the screens. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And, you know, one thing about Sam and the film that they made is after the program, it was acquired by Scientific American, correct?
Yeah.
How was that for you? How is it getting a bigger platform for your film through a collaboration with an NGO?
Okay, the acquisition caught me by surprise. I didn't expect, actually. So the film, I knew we were making it and giving it, you know, like just leaving it there and that's it. But then being acquired by an organization as big as Scientific American and being publicized to such an audience out there, which is not even African, which does not even know what happens here in East Africa. It was really inspiring to me because that means that the impact it's ripple. it's a ripple kind of effect. So yeah, and I was excited basically. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very impressive to see. I think for me personally, because it is an NGO-based film, it was surprising that a large publication like that would be interested in highlighting those stories and seeing the purpose and impact of showcasing not only amazing stories, but the people behind it and the communities most impacted by the issues that are going on. And with Bahari Bingo, it also went on to do a few festivals. It did very well. So I'm very impressed and surprised by what we were able to achieve in such a short amount of time. So the next question is directed to Eric. Storytelling in this context is more than a tool. It's a partnership. What made your collaboration work, and what do you think are the ingredients for a successful filmmaker and NGO partnership, particularly for this program and the work that you continue to do?
Thank you so much for that. So I think when you talk about the partnership, one of the things that filmmakers do, and I really appreciate it about my job, is the fact that we can enter any world. You might be a doctor without borders, and you invite a filmmaker and we tell a story about that. You might be an astronaut going to the moon, you invite us, we'll find a way to bring your story forward. And so I think one of the ingredients that I would say are key is that invitation from the organization to the filmmaker to come and understand our world. Number one, first of all, we have to agree that when it comes to the nonprofit world, every organization is doing something. And so there's an agenda that you're trying to pass. And so as a filmmaker, you have to come in there with the humility to understand what exactly is this organization trying to say, and how are they doing it? How are they bringing those? How are they doing what they are saying that they are doing? And when you understand that, you start understand the language. Now that's very tricky because this is a world that uses so many initials. So you might hear. So we're actually doing a meeting for the SPV 25, and then after that, can you hand me the 65 DC5 thing? And so you have to find a way to enter and to just that it has to be very organic in the way it's done. The invitation from the NGO really, really matters. And the humility of the filmmaker really, really matters. It's also a challenge to the filmmaker. Can you be able to tell a story about philanthropists trying to make funding equitable? What do I know about philanthropy in the first place? So yeah, you have to learn and you have to lean forward and accept that invitation and do the work. What was the other question? There was another one before that.
But you think you've done a great job
Okay, cool.
of capturing that, because we were trying to figure out what are the ingredients that make the partnership successful. And I would love to hear from Ruth, because she was particularly involved in the making of her film. And I want to learn how you evolved and changed, because of that.
Well, as my colleague here was speaking, I could see myself in all that because we're very technical. We use a lot of jargons, internal jargons, so we try and simplify the work as it goes out. So, of course, I was a little bit scared when we got our filmmaker. Currently, we use a certain level of producers. So my first question was like, is he going to understand our work? We have such a short duration. Will he process this work and bring out our work and the impact we've had in the manner that we know? How is this going to pan out? But I like what he said. The first thing is that you have to bring yourself to the level of the partner. You need to understand where they're coming from and where they're heading and what this work means to them. So on our end, there was a lot of trust building that had to be done across that whole process. Just allowing them to learn from us, to understand what the work is, to build and write that work in their own language, because our language cannot be the same. But then if he processes and synthesizes it and then brings it back, that means that is also how the video, the film, will be received. So building that trust along the way was really, really, really important, I must say. I was so much into the details, I will admit. But then by the time we were going into production, we had already understood each other. I knew what they were trying to come up with. I let them be the producers at the end of the day. And I sit back and get the piece that they're producing. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. That's amazing. And that was the hope and the objective of the program itself. Kitelo, this next question is for you.
Yeah.
Many NGOs tend to focus on reporting and numbers. What shifted for you when you began seeing your work visualized in film? Particularly the film that we made with the tenure facility was highlighting the plight of the Ogiek community, a very difficult subject matter to come across. So how are you speaking about this issue before, and how did the film help you speak about the issue?
Yeah, thank you. First, really appreciate to be in this space today, to see so many people that, to me, this film thing has made it like it's they are part of our struggles. So really happy. And whenever I come to such functions, the first thing I ask myself is, how is this going to support the struggles that we do? So really appreciate. Now, before I go to the numbers, it would be very difficult maybe for the people who are coming to this for the first time to understand how that question comes in. In summary, normally my summary takes maybe 30 minutes normally, but today maybe I'll take less time. The work I do is part of a struggle in our community that has taken more than 100 years. So I just joined the struggle. So that's normal, it's difficult. Even as I speak here, it's not my story, it's the story of the community. So that's why I was saying it makes it a bit, So, and for us, when I look at it, we've actually been challenging disposition, challenging mainstream perception about conservation, about how land is owned. We've been challenging that. And of course, we've not seen it as challenging, but we've just been fighting for our rights to own and manage the forests that have always been ours. So, and for me, whenever I meet media or people who do, because before this, I didn't differentiate between who is doing media, KBC or KTN and filmmaking. I can't see the difference. And we are normally very scared of media. Very scared. And the reason for this, I could give you an example. Whenever we go and make and speak about our struggles, that's the day Kenya Forest Service will come and evict our community. Things like that. So even initially, before I got to accept or to be part of this, I really needed to check the kind of people that we were getting in touch with. And I think for me, the entry was like, 10-year facility that we are working together to support 50 communities in Kenya to own and manage their lands today, was the people who was telling me, can we do this? And then we discussed that and agree. And I don't know if Jackie Lebo is here today, because that is the person I was introduced to. Interestingly, I was with her in high school, so it was easy. Films, like just going to our film, I think for me, the film that has come out, we've used it. It's part of the very few films we have. Because as I was saying, up to about 2 years ago, you will get very little information about the work that we've been doing. And that has been strategically, we as a community, that's what we said. We don't want media. So we were in court, and so that was it. So slowly, this came in at the time whereby we wanted some little. We won a court case in 2022, so we could speak about some things. And we wanted also, there is some people in our community that have gone through a lot of human rights violations that I think comes out in the film. So speaking out in a way is healing, and also in a way is showing out to other people. I was just checking today how many people have seen our film, and 61,000 is a very big number for us. We've never ever had a film that can get 61. And also, I've had sometimes few people, especially those who support our cause. And when I say our cause, I came to know it's a wider cause. There's so many communities in Kenya. For us, 5 are very similar to ours in Kenya, but in the world there are so many. So when I say people who support our cause are people who are interested in that cause, calling me sometimes and saying, or when we meet, we say, I've seen that film. I've seen that film. That's normally, that was the intention. And we get very happy. Nowadays in the community, it's one of the films, maybe when we are waiting, if it's an activity, we put it and people speak, and when they see community members see themselves, I'm not in that film myself. That's normally what I do, is to give a chance to those people, especially elders in our community that have done most of this. Give them chance. See them speak and give their stories, sometimes almost shedding tears. It's healing for them. So I think that's how I would look at this. And I've also learned that actually there's a difference between media and filmmaking. And there are people in filmmaking who take this as something that they also like. They are happy to support people like ourselves. So I would leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And it's really powerful and really impressive to see how far the film has traveled. And part of the reason why we paired you with Jackie Lebo is because she is a filmmaker who does champion Indigenous people's rights and has a great understanding of what they're going through, and was a big champion for them being able to speak their own language in their film. I think the poet today alluded to that, and the importance of us being able to see ourselves and hear ourselves represented both in a positive light but also in a real light, right? We were not overlooking the problems that are happening in those communities. We're just shedding light on what is being done and the work being done and the work yet to be done. I know we're supposed to open up the conversation to the audience, and I'm looking to my moderator to see if it's about that time. Yeah, so are there any questions that you would love to ask our panelists in the meantime? And if not, I can keep going. But this is like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This is the first time we're gathering all three of us, so I know how hard it is to actually bring a group like this together. So yeah, while we wait for people to get inspired and ask questions, I will keep going. So part of the program was connecting local filmmakers to local change makers. And part of that was telling the stories of the people most impacted by their work. And the beauty of the stories that were told was they were told through the perspectives of their characters and the people most impacted. So it was very intimate, and people were talking about very personal things. So how did the organizations and the filmmakers, and I'm opening this up to the entire panel, navigate this aspect of storytelling, keeping it authentic without being too extractive or taking advantage of the characters, which might have led to, why people like Itelo are so hesitant to have filmmakers enter their space. So how do you navigate telling authentic stories but remaining respectful to the subjects?
Can I? Okay. I think one of the things that we value as an organization is that we put families first. And so in the communities where we work, here, for example, in Kenya, in Kisumu, Busia, and Vihiga, community health workers are our family, colleagues are family. And so as we do our work, we ensure that we are mindful of the environment that they work in. We are mindful of the time that they give into our work vis-a-vis the work that they need to do. So even as we were doing this, we were very clear in our mind that first, we have to get their consent. Are they willing enough to allow us to get into their, for example, household? Because you're walking the journey with this community health worker. They have a family. They go out there and engage with other families. So first of all, at that point in their household, are they giving us the consent? Are they allowing us to tell this story from their perspective? So it wasn't our story, basically. That one community health worker who was the lead character gave us the permission to do that with her, to allow us engage and interrogate her family members. And even in the families that we went to just hear, what sort of support do you get from these daktaris wa kijiji? They had to give us the consent. You get to families sometimes, even when we are going to work, you want to talk to a pregnant mother, but the husband will not allow you to do it. So at that point, you cannot. You have to draw the line and find other ways of supporting that mother. So that was one of the critical things that we put there, that as producers, ours was Laisa. As Laisa was going into the community, have they allowed you? Do they understand what they are going to do? That this film is going to speak to many people at different levels. So indeed that, for us as an organization, was really critical. Yeah.
Wow. I think I'm going to speak about the filmmaker side.
Oh, yeah.
Because one of the things I really appreciate about, and I really hope there's a season 2 for SSP Africa, was I don't remember how many months it was, we spent just on calls, learning. And we learned from filmmakers like Will Miller, who shot The Territory in the Amazon, him being an American in another world. basically. I really related to such stories because such sessions and classes, where they were not classes, they were like more of conversations about how to go about entering someone's world and assimilating, finding a way to be one with them. Island of Hope was shot in Goma, that's Lake Kivu. And as I was traveling there to film it, I found out very quickly how far removed I am from the experience. First of all, language. I was like 3 times removed because there's a Congolese Swahili, then there's French, then there's Kihavu, which is now the local dialect, and then there's the way of life, there's how to get there. You may have to take like a ferry for about an hour and a half to get there, and that's a speedboat for an hour and a half. So that tells you how far in you're going, and staying there for 7 days, shooting this story. It brings you to a place where you really have to listen, and you realize very quickly it's not about the film. It's not. The assignment is the film, but it's really not about the film, it's about the people. What I really appreciate, and I know you guys have done that, is the help the organization brings, either a person that has been assigned to you to help you, if maybe the founder is not there, to help you get through to the heart of the issue, especially where the language you're working with is not English. But all this information also, I was not starting from zero. It is from all those sessions that we had for, I think, 8 months, 9 months, I think, of just, was it weekly? Every week we met and we spoke. We even spoke about the mental health of the filmmaker. How do you take care of yourself? You're going to dangerous places. Someone was actually doing a film about blowing up, finding mines in Tanzania, using rats, using mice, and what that is safety measures you have to take as a filmmaker. Where is your heart? Where is your mind? So that as you're going to this world, you're going there postured and ready to listen. And with your camera, ingesting all this, where is your camera? How are you filming these people? What are the kind of shots you're taking that would dignify these people whom you're filming, the living conditions that they are in? How do you bring in a humane aspect to it and all of that? I think all that I would put, we may not have had time to talk about those things with the organization, so all that came from the classes that, the sessions that we had for those 8-9 months. Yeah.
Maybe I'll just add on to what Eric has shared. I feel, okay, according to me, in the way I work with organization is letting, like before introducing the cameras and the lenses and everything, like first you build that trust, as she said, which is a very important aspect, because once you build the connection with the organization and the trust, they can give you access now to their people, because it's the organization that works with the people you are going to film. So they are closer to them. So once you get trust, once you win that trust with the organization, it's easier to now tell like authentic stories of the people and to really get closer to the people through the organization. Yeah, so that's basically how I did it myself, so yeah.
It's wonderful to know that the sessions that we had, which were more collaborative and us exchanging, had that impact and opened up your minds to how to approach storytelling in that way. I'm still going to open it up to the audience because we do not have that much time. If there are any questions, please raise your hand.
Guys, round of applause to panel one. I mean, you want to keep on listening to them, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm curious to know from Eric, that story about the mice and mining, very intriguing, you know? And I know they don't have so much time, so I'll just allow it for the first 3 hands shot up. We can give them priority. First 3 hands going. First hand, second hand, third hand. All right then.
Yeah, hi. My name is Josh. I'd like to ask a question of the people at the sharp end, the people actually doing the work that has been the subject of these films. Has seeing the films yourself given you some further insight into the problems that you're trying to solve?
A good one.
Maybe you can hear the second question while Ruth thinks about that one.
Good afternoon. My name is George. I was just curious. I think the most, I don't say the most, I haven't watched the films. I'm sure the films will be the most interesting part. But the idea of the matchmaking between the person who has all these things they need to tell and the person who knows how to tell stories. What's a way to scale up that matchmaking? Because you still see so many organizations and companies, NGO or not, that need to communicate to the audiences that we are and that use some ad agency or somebody to do this work as opposed to coming to the filmmakers we're seeing and giving us content that's relatable or relevant. So is there a way to scale that matchmaking or to hasten that trust building between the industry with money and the filmmaker?
That's a great question. Kitelo? Do you want to take that question?
Yeah.
We'll just listen to the third one and then you take that.
Hi, my name is Dan. Have you found yourself in a situation where you you've gone to a community, there's a problem in that community, and then there's the culture that somehow condone the problem that you want to air so that it brings about change without hurting the very people you want to tell their story?
That's a great question, and I think Eric and Sam can take that one, but we'll start with Ruth. So you have a few minutes to think about your answers.
Okay. So I think what we saw with the film that we produced together with LISA is the urgency towards supporting community health workers. Because what came out was that there's so much more that they do as community health workers, very limited resources, quite limited support. And so if you look at the distance over which they have to cover, which came out, because as the cameras were panning all over Kisumu, which was our area of focus, and as the community health worker was moving from her homestead to wherever the client was, going back, dealing with an emergency, the urgency to support community health workers really came out beautifully. So one of the impacts, I must say, for example, is that most recently, I think last year, we had a funder who saw that because we produced that and there was some coverage from Nation newspaper. There's a funder who encountered the story from that, and they were curious to understand, what do you mean? Why are you putting digital tools in the hands of community health workers? What does all this mean? And out of which they were able to support other health officials from Nigeria to come and experience the work that we are doing in Kisumu and Busia. So yes, what came out was the urgency to put in more financing, more funds to the work that community health workers do. Thank you.
Can I ask the gentleman to repeat the question, please?
Sure, yeah.
Please.
Would you like to repeat your question? But I can also paraphrase.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's a very interesting question, and like looking really forward. I think my experience in this, for example, initially, as I said, we were a bit very cautious. And actually, one thing that we asked was whether would be given the rights to say this film should be put in public or not at the end of the day. We did this in the beginning, that you could come up with a film, but we say, you know, this maybe is not good for us, and you should be able to accept. So I think, from my experience, for example, after we went through this film, there was a point we were even making suggestions that, I remember one, for example, we had taken some pictures during the evictions, and we were suggesting to the team that was doing the filming that, can we insert that there? You see? So, because we had, they don't have. And of course, they did not accept because I think it was poor quality. I'm sure they didn't tell us that. But I'm just saying that developing the confidence between us and them is, I think, to me, that was the biggest, success in terms of, And the question of putting you call it matchmaking, is an interesting one to me, because I'm actually coming today to know that there was matchmaking somewhere. But it worked on well. And I really think that was very, very good idea. Whoever did it, that was a very good thought. And I think it is, after this, I would look at this as the initial, piloting. I think after doing this, the people who would really be talking about this and convincing other communities that are fearful like us are people like me, for example. And the people who would be looking the best matches on the other side are people who have already done it, who knows who knows the other people. For me, I know the communities, other communities apart from mine, or even within our communities. Because I think after that I was saying, these other stories, maybe we do this, maybe we do. I think I made so many suggestions already because I saw it that it's a good thing. And some of this for us is like you are actually preserving some information that would be, would be somewhere there available, not only for other people or even our children or others in future to come and see, because that's not the ability. We don't have that ability to do. So I think for me, already this is for me, it's a very successful idea of doing matchmaking. Maybe how do we carry this? How do we scale this up? And for me, those are the ideas that I have, that it's very easy to scale this up. We used already the conducts that we have and the success that we've had. Yeah, thank you. And thanks for that question.
Thank you for that question, and thank you, Kitelo, for your response. And we're happy to hear that that's the impact that has been made, because we were hoping that the filmmakers would create authentic and long-lasting relationships with the NGOs, but this is also a way to scale, like this event, because we are bringing together the filmmakers, the NGOs, the funders, and we are showing the work on the screen, and we are hearing from them about the impact. So, grateful to DocuBox for continuing the good work. And now we conclude with words from Eric and
Okay, on that question, so we are talking about change makers, and organizations are change makers. All these NGOs, there are problems they are trying to solve. So these problems are part of the community, and they should be part of the story. So when we encounter them, it's a bonus for the story. For me, for example, my organization, Bahari High, what they do is they educate the community. And what's the word? Not educate, sensitize the community, the importance of conserving the ecosystem, the mangrove areas, and not doing illegal fishing, and not cutting down the mangroves, and doing that kind of sensitizing people. So they are like policemen who are doing that. So on this day, during the filming process, we went so they do patrols, boat patrols. Sometimes they do patrols on foot around the mangrove forests, because that's where the illegal fishermen normally are, and that's where they hide their tools and their nets. So it was a journey of like we walked for like almost 5 kilometers, around, and we were stopping, meeting some locals and all that. But then there's this point we got where we actually came across someone who had come from fishing illegally. So he was carrying a net, those fishing nets that they are told not to use. So I would say it didn't, that scene didn't make it to the film, but to the final film. But I see that as a plus to the story, because I was actually very excited to find a culprit. That I was like, yeah, because as storytellers, we are always excited about the conflict. We're always looking for conflict, because a story without conflict and without antagonists and you're always looking for that, and that always makes a good story. So I think even the stories that we are telling for organizations and even the independent stories, I think conflict is part of it and should be part of is part of the process. And as a filmmaker, you should expect it. And so how you handle it is now up to you. There are different ways to handle it. But yeah, you can't avoid it. And yeah.
Yeah, and Eric, just before you go, because I know we have very little time left and I don't want us to be interrupted by the host, I would have to ask you to cut it a bit short, your response. And this is an opportunity for you to find Eric and speak to him about his experience, but also answer the question and also talk about your future work or any final remarks. And I'll give the opportunity to all the panelists to do that.
Thank you so much, Debbie. I think you've already given like the perfect example, so there's no need to give another. I want to say for this kind of setup that we had, there was a type of bias involved because the organization is doing a certain work. However, when that kind of thing happens, it can support the story. Now, this also goes into the style and the kind of films that we were making, because normally we're used to films that now it's gotten to a point where there's like apathy within audiences because it's all about slow motion shots and drone shots and the founder who's always talking for 5 minutes across the entire film. But these ones were about like a slice of life within the work that the organization does. And so here you're seeing and you're finding an organization that has to step back a bit to allow the filmmaker to find the story over a shot might be a bit protracted than your normal hire. So maybe for Congo it was 7 days. For African Visionary Fund, now the African Collab, it was I think 4 days. And that is not usually the normal way to go about it. And so why I appreciate this so much is because the organizations allowed us to express ourselves while bringing out their work. And so I think that conflict works.
Do you want to tell us a bit about what you're working on right now?
Yes, so happy to be here. So happy that this event happened. It's very novel of DocuBox to do such things. No longer surprised, like we're always waiting for the next thing. So thank you so much, Judy, and your team. I want to invite funders who are here, founders, program managers, marketing managers, people in your organizations who are decision makers. From 5th to 20th, I'll be conducting free storytelling audits for your organization. So you can book an appointment with me. It's a 30-minute, 45-minute call. Bring the decision makers from your organization. Let's talk and see, are you leveraging storytelling enough? And what is storytelling in the first place? Are we talking about 10-minute documentaries? Or can we curate things that you can talk about it frequently for your audience, which might be funding, or if you're a social enterprise, to the people you're selling your goods to? Magnet for funding. Just come, we'll talk. Find me.
Thank you so much. 20 seconds to just hear about what all of you are working on as we conclude with the gracious permission of our host, and apologies to the next panel.
Well, not necessarily on films.
General.
Great. So we are hoping to expand into another new county this year here in Kenya. But just to say that our work in Burkina is growing beautifully. And we are also, in the near future, looking at how we can incorporate data into short stories. Yes, thank you.
Kitelo, any last remarks?
Yeah, maybe for me is, for us, we are really challenging the mainstream conservation narratives that have been put there, and bring in different ways of looking at conservation, whereby conservation is the conservation that all of us in the world can do, not just government saying they are the only people who can do conservation, and every other person has to sit on this, give way. But if you look at exactly what has been happening, is to use conservation to take away community lands and destroy the same forest. Yeah, so that's something for us that is ongoing. Thank you. And I hope by end of this year, we would have registered 17% of our lands as community land and probably community forests.
Sam, very quickly, as we conclude.
Thank you so much for the audience and the panelists. I'm working on, I'm developing a story around climate change, environment and climate change, based in Lamu. I can't talk much about it because it's still in the early stages, but you'll be seeing it on your screen soon. And I'm also open to work. So everyone who is here, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. A round of applause for our panelists.